This is Texans TV. Texans Extra Points, presented by Community Coffee, official coffee of the Houston Texans. Also sponsored by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Houston Texans. And by your Houston area Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. And by Amagi, the official business bank of the Houston Texans.
Let's go, Squirrel, what we got, man? Hey, 1, 2, 3! And here's a pick. The Texans have the rock. Here comes pressure. He's going to go down. Touchdown, Houston. Rock and roll.
Happy New Year, my friends, and welcome into Texans Extra Points. My name's Drew Dougherty, and we're keeping it in-house with two of my good friends, Deepi Sidhu and John Harris. Deepi, of course, all things Texans TV, Texans Radio, HoustonTexans.com, and team analyst, radio sideline reporter, waving those hands, wearing those specs with a nifty handkerchief in his pocket. How are y'all both doing?
Fantastic, Drew. Let's close out this year with a fantastic show. A win on January 1st would be phenomenal.
Cool with me, cool with you?
Yeah, she stole all my words. That's perfect.
Busted. Today on the show, we got to get into an offensive star to watch for 2023. Plus, how bright is this duo moving forward on defense? And who's our Texan to watch against the Jaguars? And what are two keys to a victory? But we begin with a blast from the past. J.J. Watt's NFL career is coming to a close. He announced it earlier this week, and he's playing with the Cardinals, but he's a Houston Texan. Started his career here, did all of his damage here. 3 Defensive Player of the Years, 1 Defensive Player of the Year awards, 1, and then he raised $40+ million for hurricane relief and countless other acts. But favorite on-the-field memory of J.J. Watt? We'll start with you, John Harris. What was it?
Thursday night, 2014, in a loss, J.J. Watt picking up a fumble by Andrew Luck and taking it to the house to make it 38-23, 33-28. If you remember in that game, the Texans had fallen behind 24-0. They got T.Y. Hilton. But then they came back. That fumble, he makes it 33-28. I thought the building was going to fall down. I had never heard the building and been in the building like that because I had to miss the playoff games because I was doing overnight national radio. So I was actually sleeping while those games were going on. So that was the first time I had heard the building that loud. All the way to the house, 33-28. The place went berserk. That's the one I remember on the field.
Lots of Lil Jon turned down for what? And what was your favorite memory, Deepi?
I got to pick 2. I'm going to cheat. They're both against the Bills, Week 4, 2014 season. Very similar to Johnny's story, except this one ended in a win for the Texans. Pick 6, yeah. J.J. Watt, 80-yard touchdown. I mean, he catches the ball. It wasn't even tipped. Runs it back 80 yards off E.J.
It's like
Manuel.
a carbon copy of the playoff one, but 80 yards.
But 80 yards, and he never slowed down. Kareem Jackson had a beautiful block for him. And then, of course, the playoff game, the wild card game, which we saw very different J.J., a little bit older, coming off of an injury. And the Texans were down. They looked like they were down and out until J.J. Watt had that sack. And it was just so reminiscent of those great J.J. Watt years.
He ignited that playoff victory. Mine, I got elbowed in the ribs up in the press box in Oakland by one of the media relations folks. And they said, hey, look, J.J.'s in the game. And I was like, well, yeah, J.J.'s in the game, but it was on offense. And right as he finished saying that, J.J. ran out, caught a pass for a touchdown. And that was just kind of the start of what was maybe the greatest season we've ever seen by any defensive player. Congratulations, J.J. We can't wait to see you come back here for a little bit, get up in the Ring of Honor, and then in 2028, he's going to go into Canton as a Hall of Famer. And Andre Johnson better get in before then as well. But let's talk about this Texans team, and let's talk about an offensive player you want to see a little bit more of in 2023. Who is it?
I have an easy one. Wide receiver John Mechie. I mean, we've seen him in the building. We've seen him working out a little bit. And there's so many times throughout this season that we've all said, gosh, if only John Mechie were healthy to help this receiving game, to help this offense a little bit. And I think that we've gotten a really good sense of who he is as a person. Obviously saw what he could do at Alabama, and I just cannot wait to see him back and healthy on the field. I think that first game back, the crowd's going to go nuts for him. And this locker room especially is going to go nuts for him.
Johnny, who are you keeping your eye on next year?
Well, I'm going to stick with the wide receivers, Nico Collins. Nico has got to make that step. First of all, let's get healthy. We've got to be healthy for a full 17 games. And look, not a lot of guys are playing 17 games, 16 games, so I won't get too greedy. But Nico Collins has to make that step into being a bona fide number 1 wide receiver in this league, no doubt. You put Nico with Mechie, you should have a pretty solid combination there. I still think this offense needs more pass catchers, ball carriers, whatever you want to call it, guys that can make things happen, playmakers with the ball in their hands. But Nico Collins has to be that number one wide receiver. He's got to be our version of Justin Jefferson. He has to be our version of Jamar Chase. He has to be that guy when he walks on the field, everybody goes, there's number 12. He has to be that guy in 2023 and beyond.
All right, that's the future. Let's talk about kind of the current situation. 2-quarterback system. What sort of split are you seeing snap-wise? Because it's gone up, it's gone down. But what are you seeing between Davis Mills and Jeff Driscoll this week?
I think that we've seen a little bit more Mills, a little less Driscoll. Obviously, it was 50-50. We're like 75-25. But I love the 50-50 split. I mean, why not? Let's just throw them both out there. But I think when Davis Mills is on, he's on. And so we see a little bit less Driscoll. But I also like seeing both of them on the field at the same time. So I'm going to go 60-40. Okay. I won't get too greedy.
60-40 Mills to Driscoll.
More Mills, a little bit more Driscoll. Maybe both of them at the same time.
What are you thinking?
Well, I like seeing them both on the field at the same time because you can use Jeff in a number of different ways. But Davis showed last week in that drive against the Titans, if that Davis shows up, he needs to be on the field 100% of the time. That drive, 4 for 4, 69 yards and a touchdown. If that Davis Mills shows up on Sunday and you can see that percolating early, Jeff, you're going to get your spots, but it's not going to be a quarterback. You're going to fill in the slot. You might line up next to Davis. There might be some other things you do with him, but it's Davis's ball game if they can see that early on. If that Davis shows up, that's the quarterback I want to see play. But I love what Jeff brings to this offense. I'm glad that Pep went to it. And the irony was, I brought it up with Pep. I was talking to him before the game, and I was talking about Montana State, who uses 2 quarterbacks just like that. And Pep played it coy, didn't say anything. In the first snap, I see both of them go out against Kansas City and thought, Pep, I didn't know anything. I just loved what Montana State did, and that's what they're doing. But it's been effective for this offense.
Thank you, John. Good Montana State reference. You won't get that anywhere around here. Maybe in Helena or Billings or Red Lodge. But, hey, let's move forward. And let's move forward with more of John and a Telestrator.
Down 14-13, needing a drive to go down and score a touchdown. 2nd and 5 play, and this is an awesome one. Remember Mike Leach? Mike Leach passed away. He was a great college coach. One of his favorite pass routes is the one you're about to see right here. Now, I don't know if Pep Hamilton's paying homage, but it was great to see anyways. You're going to get what's called a mesh route. A mesh route is pretty simple. It's one receiver crossing here, other receiver from this side right there. They call it a mesh because they actually meet at the mesh. That's what this is. Now, the Texans run this knowing they're going to get man coverage. So the hope with mesh route is that in that man coverage, you get somebody bumped off. It ends up being this sexy, glorified rub route if you're on offense, which it is. So you're going to see Jordan Akins come here on the rub route. You're going to see Philip Dorsett there on the rub route. These guys are in man coverage, and they got a safety free. So they're taking away anything deep, but the key is this mesh route right here. So you're going to see Philip go across. McCreary gets beat, he hesitates just a split second, and Dorsett beats him. And that confusion, that chaos actually gives Dorsett just a little bit for Davis Mills to get him that football in time down the field for a big first down. Davis delivers right there to Philip Dorsett on the mesh that got everything going on that final drive where the Texans scored the go-ahead touchdown.
Davis gets the snap. Here's the rush. Davis stepping up. Davis throwing, and he hits Dorsett. Rolled down at the 36-yard line by McCreary.
Christian Harris, linebacker for the Texans, has been outstanding. After getting some of the rust off the first 2-3 games he was in about midseason, since then he has been phenomenal. Came to fruition here against Tennessee, and we'll take a look at it here. Take a look right here at Christian Harris. He's right there. So you're going to get what looks like middle of the field man coverage. I can't totally tell that for sure, but it looks like they're playing man over here. And what you're going to get are double slants. You're going to get Burks here, Westbrook-Akine there. Now, the thought is that if it's zone, that one of these linebackers is going to get caught on this route, and then you throw the slant behind it. But Christian Harris does a great job of reading the eyes of Malik Willis. Malik is locked in on this guy the whole way. He's not even looking at Westbrook-Akine. So when Harris drops, he starts there, but his eyes never go off of Malik Willis. This is a great lesson. His eyes never leave Willis. He knows there's got to be a second route coming behind, and then the ball hits him in the worst spot. It hits him right in the hands. Now, earlier in the game, Christian had one that he probably should have picked off. That Willis threw sidearm, and I think Harris had no idea the ball was going to get to him. This one does. Christian catches it, and then away you go. What a huge play this was in the fourth quarter. And this is the one thing I love. I love watching this. Watch the sideline here. These are the offensive guys, right? These are offensive guys over here. Christian catches his football. Watch this sideline get excited. Look at him jump off the field. Look at him going nuts. He intercepts it. I mean, look at this. This is a team that's won one game all year. Look at him celebrate, man. It was just awesome. And you can see right here. Take a look. Malik's got some pressure coming in his face, right? Why? Malik, look at Malik Collins. This is sick. Watch this spin move. Watch this right here. Watch the spin move. Boop. And in his face. He was not getting that ball anywhere. Christian Harris snatches it. Interception. And it wasn't quite ball game, but it was pretty close after that pick.
Henry to his right. Two receivers left. Willis gets the snap. Looking. Throwing over the middle. It's intercepted. Christian Harris down the right sideline. He's out of bounds. Texans have the ball on the pick. Second and 5 from the 22. Pierce again. Over the middle, 20. Breaks a tackle, 15, 10. Gang tackled inside the 5. Does he stay on his feet? He does, down to the 2-yard line. What a run by Dameon Pierce.
Dameon Pierce, earlier in the season, chopping up the Jacksonville Jaguar defense. We're chopping up some Houston Texans talk. John Harris, Deepi, Sidhu, and me, Drew Dougherty. So let's talk about this defense. A couple rookies in Jalen Petrie and Christian Harris. They're really shining bright. On the brightness scale, with this end being a black hole, this end being a rocket ship close to the sun, going warp speed. Where are they on how bright things are for the future with that duo on defense?
I'm going to go rocket ship. Christian Harris being key in the run game. The fact that Lovie Smith said, well, Christian Harris is playing better, so we should be better against the run. You don't hear a head coach talk about a rookie like that. And then Jalen Petrie, I mean, his numbers are outstanding. 4 interceptions on the season. And, he's doing what we haven't seen very many rookies do anywhere across the league. So I think what they've been able to do in that defense, and especially now, they're performing big when the moment is not too big for them.
Petrie averaging double digits, a half interception over the last 4 games. What do you think about this brightness with that duo, John?
It's like a slab with its blinder lights on or its flashers on or whatever. Yeah, it's not a rocket ship just yet.
Slab, of course, slow, loud, and banging. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, we're in Houston. You have
just
to
making
explain
sure.
that to
Not
you.
everybody
Maybe,
knows. Not everybody knows.
But those two, the way they're playing, the way they fit in the run game is impressive. But you're seeing them play together. Here's the thing about Jacksonville. You faced them in week 5, right? Well, Jalen Petrie was playing more strong safety, and Christian Harris wasn't even on the field. So you're going to present something to Jacksonville that they haven't seen. Now, they've seen Petrie, but they haven't seen Christian Harris. His speed to the football, his understanding and coverage led him to the interception. I think those two together give that defense a very, very bright future. And when we get Derek Stingley back healthy next year, boy, look out. You get a few more rookies in this class in 2023. This defense could turn the corner a whole lot sooner than we think.
Another reason this team has played so well, talking about the Texans over the last 3 or 4, they're getting takeaways. They've got 8 takeaways that will span, and they're +6 in turnover differential. Over/under takeaways at 1.5. Texans hitting it. They going below. What do you think?
Over.
Okay, cool.
I know Trevor Lawrence has not thrown a lot of picks in the last 7 games. He's thrown 1. But I think not having their left tackle there might be some more room for a guy like Oborokwonkwo or John Grenard to get the ball loose out of his hands like we saw last week against the Titans. So I'm going over 1.5.
Well, Jags are also going to see a rebuilt Oborokwonkwo. It wasn't until week 9 against the Giants where he really started showing what he can do, and his game is developing each and every day. So you had in Grenard, you had in Obo. Malik Collins is back and been thriving. And I know he played in that Jacksonville game, but he's been even better since then. Petrie is a fitted free safety, and you throw in Christian Harris, linebacker. It's a whole different defense in some sense the Jaguars are going to see, and that's a good thing.
It's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a good matchup, and we're going to get a little bit deeper into it in the next segment. But before we do, we got some trivia with J.J. Watt retiring. Let's go way, way back. Who was his first quarterback that he sacked? We'll have that answer later on in Texans Extra Points.
job in the gun. Throws it right side, wide receiver screen. Andre Johnson across the 40, 35 to his right, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Rock and roll! The Texans win it! Andre Johnson, 48 yards! My goodness!
That was a fun one. Andre Johnson walking it off in overtime. 2012 in this building against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, one of a zillion great moments from Dre's career. Deepi, John, Drew, let's talk about these Jaguars. They're leading the AFC South. They're 7-8. They're playing really, really well right now. This is a different team than the one the Texans saw the first time around, but let's think about it. How much of a challenge will they be for Houston? They're playing really well, John.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've made a couple of key changes. Number one, they've found a way to continue to get Jamal Agnew involved. All receivers are getting touches with Trevor Lawrence. But mainly what they did was they traded James Robinson. And that allowed Travis Etienne to become the number one bell cow back. And it fits. Against us in week 5, they had Etienne, and he was hurting us. But then for some reason, they went to Robinson. That killed all the momentum, and they really couldn't get back to Etienne. Now Etienne's the guy. He's getting 20-plus touches a game, so that's changed for that offense. But it really, look, it's 16. 16 has developed into one of the best young quarterbacks in this league. He's composed. He's a leader. The game is now slowed down for him. He's really developed and showed what he can be as number 1 overall pick in 21.
And Deepi, it's funny. Everyone knew he was going to be the number 1 overall pick. You knew because you'd seen what he'd done at Clemson. And then he struggles in a weird year as a rookie, which you can't really blame all of that on him. We're seeing who this guy is. He's a good quarterback.
The arc of his career in 2 short seasons, people are like, oh, he's a bust. Oh, he's this. Oh, he's that. And I think now we're seeing the best football, like Johnny said, that we've ever seen Trevor Lawrence play. And I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that he's won some big games. Beating the Cowboys, putting up 40 points on them, I just think there's a different confidence. Then they go out in New York on a Thursday night game. They beat the Jets in a cold, rainy game, a game they had to win. And they've got all this momentum and all this confidence. They've made the offensive changes. I think Doug Peterson's play calling has really fit his skill set. But I think the confidence with which he's playing right now, 14 touchdowns to 1 interception. They've gone 5-7 since week 9, since they beat the Raiders.
And real quick, they've got a defense that can play, and they've got playmakers at each level. And one of those playmakers, their first-round pick, the first overall pick, hasn't played all that much lately.
No, and they have arguably one of the better inside linebackers in the league. And Folo Olukun, he's amazing. And that was a free agency acquisition they made, and that has paid off because he is the leader. Everything revolves around him. But they mix things up. They bring the blitz. They've got guys on the edge. If it's not Trayvon Walker, they got Josh Allen. That's a tough defense you got to contend with. You can still move the ball on them, but you cannot turn it over to them because that's what they feast on.
Okay, we got to get a Texan to watch. Who are you keeping your eyes on against Jacksonville?
Number 48, Christian Harris. We talked about him a little bit earlier alongside Petrie. I just think adding him into this game, he was not there in week 5. You still held him to 6 points. But tracking down Travis Etienne, 48's big. You have Jake Hansen playing well. Christian Kirksey's played well. Those two guys have played well together. Blake Cashman, when Neville Hewitt's gone into the game, the linebackers have played a lot better the second half of the year. But a big part of that is 48 and what he can do. I think his ability to run the football, blitz, make some things happen on Trevor Lawrence. If Lawrence gets out of the pocket, you can use Christian Harris to do a lot of different things. I think he's starting to emerge into one of the leaders on that defense for sure.
I like it. How about you, Deepi?
I'm going to go D-line. I like John Grenard, how he's been playing. Obviously missed all those games on IR, and I think steadily each week we've seen him do more and more. Against the Titans, probably his best game this season, and I think he's going to build on it. He didn't get to play the Jags the first time around, so I think John Grenard's got their number this time.
I like that one. Grenard called Obo Okoronkwo obese last week in the locker room, so I'm going to go with Okoronkwo. 2 sacks last week. He's really coming on. John explained how he's rebuilt, so give me OO for this one. We'll be back with more Texans Extra Points in just a moment.
Texans Extra Points, presented by Community Coffee, official coffee of the Houston Texans. Also sponsored by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Houston Texans. And by Mattress Firm, the official sleep partner of the Houston Texans.
We're back, and earlier we asked you, with J.J. Watt announcing his retirement, let's go back in time and find out who was the first quarterback he ever sacked. He was a rookie in 2011. You guys got an answer?
I'm going to say Rusty Smith.
Rusty Smith is that's a Tennessee Titan?
Yes.
That's not the right answer.
I was trying to remember who the quarterbacks were in the division at the time. It couldn't have been Andy Dalton, was it?
It was not, but he did get Dalton a time or two in his career. J.J. went big. He went after a Hall of Famer and brought him down. He's not a Hall of Famer yet, but Drew Brees one day will be a Hall of Famer. Week 3, one of the greatest games, if you're just a fan of football, that you'll ever see. Texans and Saints. It was back and forth. It was a pinball machine.
I mean, come on, Drew Brees and Rusty Smith are the same guy.
So close, Johnny.
Allegedly. Okay, John Harris, let's get into keys to a victory. You too, Deepi Sidhu. We got to get your keys as well. But what 2 things must Houston do to come out with a W?
Number 1, tackling. When the Texans defense has struggled this year, it's been because of bad tackling and run fits. The run fits have been much better, and there have still been moments, but a lot fewer moments of bad tackling. So tackling on the defensive side, I think offensively, it's getting Davis in rhythm early. If Davis gets in a rhythm early, this team has an opportunity to go win a game. If Davis doesn't and he kind of struggles, then you're going to have to try and find that fit with the 2 quarterbacks.
Okay, good.
I'm going to say protect the ball security. I mean, I know Davis Mills had that fumble early on. You can't always count on Rex Burkhead to follow the ball in the end zone. I mean, you only can get lucky so many times. And then secondly, get after the quarterback.
Yeah.
I think with a banged up offensive line without their left tackle, you can really take advantage of that and get Trevor Lawrence under pressure. Make the day uncomfortable for him. Do not make it easy for him to move the ball down the field.
I like all 4 of those points. You said protect the ball. I'm going to say protect the quarterback. 1 sack. The Texans have allowed 1 sack in the last 4 games. Now, they've been doing some quick passing. They've run the ball more, but still, 1 sack in 4 games, that's outstanding, and that's the reason the Texans have played a lot better lately. And then, hey, matriculate the ball down the field the way you've been doing. You can get a big chunk here or there, but just keep moving the chains. Getting those like 3rd and 4s, those 3rd and 5, 6. Don't get behind the chains, as they say, and I think good things are going to happen for this Texans team. Happy New Year to the both of you. We really appreciate it. It's great being with you. Happy New Year to all of you all. We appreciate you. Come back and see us again same time next week. The guy holding that camera has got a big old smile on his face because he can't wait for a Feliz Año Nuevo as well. Till next time, we'll see you, and go Texans.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to know when we post new content.